time when all you cared about was what you were going to play in recess. Now, I don't know about you, but Cops and Robbers was pretty popular when I was a third grader. BE9 was pretty fun, especially because we didn't have to think about grades, let alone know what they meant. Now, when we got these, our report cards back, it didn't really matter to us what they were, mostly mattered to our parents. But now I'm going to bring you back to junior year. You're in Mr. Peterson's class, and he says there's a reading quiz on Friday. Now, I'm sure most of you are thinking, well, I better find that Quizlet, because I want to get an A on that test. But as much as that, it's good to get your good grade on the test, it really limits your learning by just learning those few 15 questions. First, today, I'm going to talk about learning and the amount that we learn and limit ourselves to learn because we want to get that good grade. So first, I'm going to go over students and how they feel they are being punished for trying even when they do their best. Second, how kids have become discouraged because they feel like taking risks will lead them, or in the fear of failing, they won't take the risks. And third, being unmotivated the worse your scores are. So say you take a test and you get a bad grade, you just feel unmotivated, like you can't reach that highest level. First, let's look at how grades affect the student's mental health and encouragement to keep trying and to get focused on that grade. So the more we focus on getting a good grade, the more we forget why we are learning that subject or whatever we're learning at the time. Gerald E. Nezik states in his paper about grades being a barrier to learning, that all the focus is on the grades instead of why we are learning for that grade. In elementary school, we take a shift to go into junior high and high school, where GPA matters, and we actually know what that means. I remember in elementary school, I'd get my report card back and I'd be like, oh, I don't really know what this means, but I think it's good. And now once you get into high school, it all matters, because in the future, it'll depend where you go. With those GPAs and finding out what you have, or say you have a 4.0 or say you have a 3.5, this increases your anxiety and depression among students around you. An article states that most 13 to 17-year-olds would say that anxiety and depression is a problem among their peers. But the majority of this anxiety and depression is coming from kids wanting to get good grades. Along with good grades being a big reason for students having increased anxiety or depression, they have felt discouraged to take those risks to go above and beyond during projects or anything else, or even just asking questions. According to Morgan Benton, who wrote a blog about grades killing motivation, when kids are learning, they will, of course, have lots of questions. Some of these questions, kids are afraid to ask in fear that they will contradict the teacher, or that this will discredit the teacher on what they have taught them. In other instances, they are afraid that they will be met with a condescending answer. Now, there was this one time, one of my sisters was in a class and she asked a question, just any question, just was curious, and she was met with a condescending answer. This later on made her not want to ask a question again, and just made her feel dumb at the time, and like she doesn't want to ask the question in fear that she will be made fun of or made feel dumb in front of the whole class. And later on, her grade, and she ended with a B, which was not what she was hoping for. Now, and also in projects, when we are given a rubric on what we need in that. Lots of times kids are afraid to go out and do the extraordinary in fear that they will get docked for going outside the box. These instances can all lead to students becoming unmotivated the worse their scores are. The grade system was made to motivate students to get an A and to go above and beyond. But in reality, this is all doing the opposite and making kids not want to get that A, because once they feel like they can't reach that A, they just decide to back off. According to Tim Klein in an article he wrote about grades failing to motivate students, he states that grades are hurting academic motivation and inhibiting learning, meaning that when kids get that bad grade, they get down on themselves and they feel like they can't reach that highest level. From that, they start doubting themselves and they start to get disengaged from school after high school. So as soon as they graduate, they don't feel like they can make it on in the college level. From there, we want to look, and Tim Klein says that we need to give the kids a choice on what they learn. By shifting the control from the teacher to the student, that student is now empowered to learn what they're interested in. By giving them the choice, you're empowering the student to understand and want to learn more about what they want to learn about. You can just see this when we read books. During class, when we are told to read a certain book, a lot of times kids will leave it till like the last 2 days to read it and then study upon it and hopefully get a good grade on that test. But when we are given the whole year to read like 600 pages, most of the time, lots of kids read in the summer too, just because they don't have that pressure to read, they just want to read. Today, I overviewed how kids feel like they are being punished for trying when they are trying their best, how kids have felt discouraged for taking risks in fear of failure, and how students are becoming unmotivated the worse their scores are. School can get hard, especially when students have the pressure of getting good grades. So let's take a step towards bettering our education by looking back on how our grades affect the students and giving them a choice to what they learn, just like when they had a choice of what to play during recess.